All right, I listened to the new Kendrick Lamar album tonight, like a lot of you. It's the evening of May 12th. And I'm going to go through every track, just my first impression, let you know what I think. I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan, so I was looking forward to this album, but yeah, let's just get into it. So the track opens, or the album opens. This is a 2-disc album, by the way, very long, 73 minutes. Well, that's not that long. Actually, can't that be on one disc? What's the disc, anyways? United in Grief kind of begins with a sort of a theatrical feel. We get this typical Kendrick Lamar self-evaluation style. Seems like a typical intro track. And 95. This song I thought was pretty good, pretty catchy. Had me get some high hopes for this album because it seemed a little less conventional. The beats. I can't talk tonight. But more of a banger than the first album, certainly. And then Worldwide Steppers goes into this more dystopian, ghosty beat, chronicle. Yeah, those first 3 songs, if I at that point, I still had pretty high hopes for this album. But as you'll see as I go on, I get a little disappointed with some things. Die Hard. So this is the track when it feels like the 4th track is when it just feels like it starts to get into this more formulaic form, and after the previous 2 songs too, it felt like it was like a return to this kind of just standard rap technique and things that we've seen in a lot of, not just from Kendrick but from other rappers. Next track, Father Time, nothing new, didn't really impress me. Then there was Interlude, which is kind of like a rap skit, which I've never been a fan of the rap skit. It just doesn't work, so I'll be skipping that track most likely in any future listens. Rich Spirit, kind of a low-key song, but it didn't really do anything for me. Okay, track 8 is where I think, there were tracks before this that were okay, but this track is the one that really sort of starts to lose me because it's this kind of duet between Kendrick and this woman. I don't know who the woman is, but it goes into this really it's more like a skit than a song. It's just very theatrical, but it's just constant F word. Like someone's gonna count the number of F words in this song because there's a lot of fucking F words. So anyways, last track on that first disc, Purple Hearts, kind of had a tired, yawning feel to me. That Ghostface comes in at some point, and that introduction of him just feels very formulaic, and things that we've seen. Shit, my light just fell. A million times in a lot of rap songs before. Okay, disc 2, Count Me Out, kind of a mopey introduction, and I was again not very impressed. Second track, Crown, I thought it had a less conventional sound to it. So I think if I had to pick the 2 songs on this album, the only ones that I put stars next to were N95 on disc 1 and Crown on disc 2. So both the second songs on each album, each disc. Next song, Silent Hill, kind of a cruising through the city late at night, low-key beat. I thought this was a pretty good song. Track 4, Savior. Oh no, the interlude that led into Savior. So another skit song, which doesn't interest me at all. Savior, not a very bad song, but I felt like it could have used more of a payoff. And I think what I'm seeing in a lot of these songs is that there's nothing that delivers quite in the way that a lot of his earlier songs did. Like I think of songs like Money Trees, All Right, Humble, tracks that were just like really, I don't know, they seemed to lead to something bigger and have just like stronger hooks or just more energy. And this whole album, obviously there's a lot of coronavirus influence, and so that weighs down on the album in a lot of ways. But I don't want an album that's gonna like reflect that. I want an album that's gonna like lift me out of that rather than just regurgitate it. But Kendrick Lamar has always been about looking back on a lot of things, looking back on his childhood, his upbringing, his teenage years, and he starts to getting into rap. So I kind of understand that, but I kind of want him to be a little more, to break into new molds. But I don't know, what can you expect? So Auntie Diaries, this was kind of an interesting sound, but again, I felt like it didn't really go anywhere, and I wanted it to build to something with a little more energy or something, like some hook. There weren't enough hooks on this album. Mr. Morale, the title track, I guess. This was kind of a fresh sound to it, but it didn't really, nothing too new to it, really. And then Mother I Sober, this was a track with, I forget her name, Beth Gibbons? Yeah, Beth Gibbons from Portishead. This whole album was kind of like therapy in a lot of ways, but I think if you had to pick one track that was very therapy, like it was this track, and that wasn't really what I was looking for. But I mean, this was the one track that I felt like it was saying some kind of new things about the abuse cycle and so on. Anyways, last track, Mirror, it was an okay song, and it felt like it feels like an Exit song, but again, I wasn't super enthusiastic about a lot of the songs on this album, so I was a little underwhelmed. Wasn't on board with the tired feel of a lot of it, the dark themes. I don't feel any great need to listen to it again right now. Like after one listen, I don't usually listen to albums like that either, like all the way through. I think the last time I did that was with Kanye's Donda, which is also also a therapy album in a lot of ways. So yeah, this is my thoughts after one listen. I feel like the whole thing was a bit bloated, not as bloated as Donda, but could have been trimmed probably down to 40 minutes rather than 73. And yeah, I don't feel at the moment any great compulsion. I think maybe I'll listen to tomorrow to N95 and those first few tracks. But other than that, there's probably like 4 or 5 tracks I'll listen to tomorrow. But overall, I was a bit underwhelmed with this album. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Bye.